welcome to the Queer God Squad. It's Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral. With me today are Bishop Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. We are the Queer God Squad. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world.
In 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Hotspots magazine, the 5th anniversary of Queer News Tonight, with nearly 10,000 stories and 10 million views in 2024. We produced the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival on June 14th. Pride fed Diversity Pride in August and Pride Fort Lauderdale next February.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Historians believe Alexander the Great was a rough and tough Homo. Alexander the Great's sexuality has long fascinated historians, with evidence that he engaged in same-sex relationships common in ancient Greece. While his marriage to Roxane and other royal alliances served political purposes to consolidate power and ensure succession, his deepest emotional and possibly physical bond was widely believed to be with his childhood friend and general Hephaestion. Sources frequently highlight their profound connection, often portrayed as a powerful ideal of Greek male companionship. Beyond Hephaestion, Alexander's relationship with Bagoas, a Persian eunuch, is also documented. Plutarch, for instance, recounts incidents that clearly indicate a romantic or sexual involvement, such as Alexander publicly kissing Bagoas. These relationships, particularly with Hephaestion, were not seen as scandalous within the societal norms of the time. While modern terms like homosexuality are anachronistic for the ancient world, the historical accounts strongly indicate Alexander's affections extended to men, or might be as accurate to say that his primary affections were for men, but he also, for practical reasons, had a wife and family. Well, that's the thing that always gets to me, that in the military especially in the military back then, it was, well, we'll get to that in a second, but back then, it was expected that the relationships between the soldiers was one of more than just camaraderie.
Eyewitness account.
It is postulated that in order to really fight for someone, and we have to remember that in ancient times, it was hand-to-hand combat. You were on the battlefield with your best buddy, and you were going to make sure that your best buddy survived. What better way than to ensure that relationship is to make it more personal, more intimate, more that you would do anything possible to save your lover's life. And Bishop Watkins in the background was talking about, well, it's still true today, as evidenced by his husband, who was in the Navy. The two of them are great partners, and I believe that Darrell would do anything possible, as would Robert, to make sure that Darrell would be safe throughout history. I hope, anyway. I mean, they're both sniggering,
wow.
But let me go. If my husband Michael were in trouble, I would be kicking somebody's ass more likely than if, let's say, somebody on the outside
and Michael
was in
Army.
trouble.
Michael
served in the Army. Yeah, he was a, what do you call it, back in the background, typing and making sure people got paid. But yeah, he was also in the military, and I think that he would kick somebody's ass if they thought they would mess with me. Now, also, we look at these relationships and we wonder, how does that affect society? How does that make us understand that same gender loving relationships are something to emulate? It is a positive thing when a queer child can look at a leader a military person, a soldier, or even a politician, and see that that politician, that preacher, is safe in themselves in saying that this is who I love. I'm queer, I'm here, get used to it.
I love that there's no secret to this, and maybe culturally there was no need to be or whatever, but you see how powerful he was. When you get to live your truth, there's nothing keeping you from pursuing your ambitions, living out loud, because you're not having to hide or lie about anything. So you just get to focus on what you're meant to do. So that his truth and integrity were part of what made him such a powerful and effective leader. Now, never mind that he started was head of an empire that oppressed people, whatever. But he would have done that even if he were straight. But that being able to tell your truth and live in your truth is empowering. And as part of success, it also sort of dispels the sort of myth perpetuated by people trying to oppress LGBTQ people, that gay people have sort of a soft moral character, or that they're not very courageous. I don't know anybody more courageous than the LGBTQ people, out of necessity. And then it also, I love the bit about, because Hephaestion everyone knows, but this bit about Bagoas, that him being a eunuch adds to the queering of the story. That this is someone who is a sexual and gender minority anyway. And then to have this relationship. So yeah, there are multiple queer layers to this story, and all of this queerness seems to be part of his power. I love that.
When you hear stories like this too, when we're taught stories like this in school, or you read about it, and for young queer folk, it's wow, that gives me permission to live my life authentically as well. I mean, Alexander the Great, maybe not such a cool guy in a lot of ways, but if he lived his life openly and authentically, it gives the rest of us permission to do the exact same thing.
Again, this is one of those stories that as a kid growing up and studying in high school, you got the empire Alexander the Great,
right.
not the love life of
Alexander the
Great.
True.
So, and I think, when you think about, this type of military back then, these are people who have marched off to war, and they would be gone for 2 and 3 years at a time. And so, in modern day times, when I did with one particular unit, you always were concerned about who was in your foxhole. Because the person in your foxhole was going to be the person who protected your back when you're looking the other way and you're protecting the other back. So I can understand this unique relationship that went way beyond a foxhole experience. And good for him. And, of course, he had to carry on the lineage and the legacy of everything that meant to be, Alexander the Great and part of that empire. And it's great to see, again, this is part of our history too.
Yes.
And that's today with the great Queer God Squad.
Before we go, I want to invite you to like and share this episode on your social media. And I also welcome you to find Sunshine Cathedral on Facebook or Instagram.
You can also like our bishop's pages on Facebook. My page is Bishop Robert Griffin, D-Men, and Darrell's is Bishop Darrell Watkins, D-Men. We're also on TikTok. Remember to visit sunshinecathedral.org frequently. There you will also find Bishop Talk, where Bishop Darrell and I interview queer religious leaders, activists, and scholars. We've also added a weekly lectionary discussion that you can find on the website and on the social medias.
Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we are all in this together, and also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Bye.